This is A7X Fan Ben with Godmason and Xerix for episode number 27 of the Pirates CSG podcast. So in this episode, we've got a few little news things, and then the bulk of it's going to be custom game piece reviews, as we often do on the odd-numbered episodes, and then we've got possibly a few small, short, random topics towards the ends. But how have you guys been doing in the Pirates world lately?
I've been doing a lot of writing ranking threads for publishing in the future. I tend to marathon them, like several in a couple days' time, and then go weeks without having to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
What are you doing, Billy, I think?
I'm still doing Century of Economy. I had a video go up yesterday. That was fun. Nice. I've got a backlog, though, so I'm going to have to dedicate like a day or two to making videos.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, so for the news, we've got a couple things. Ocean Terrain Contest number 3 is ending in only a few weeks from now. So August 1st is the deadline for that. I've got the thread up, and we've got 4 or 5 or 6 participants so far. So if you're looking to participate, you'll want to join right away and get your entry in. It's ending quite soon, so we're looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the explosion of like pictures and video of custom terrain stuff. Because it's usually kind of few and far between when we see that, so having a ton of stuff all at once is going to be really cool to see. So
yeah,
I feel like the community is going to be really full of like beautiful island pictures for a few weeks or something in August. So that'll be nice. Yeah,
I got to finish up my entries for that.
Yep. Yeah, me too. Then
When's
the next thing. Yeah, what were you going to say?
Oh, is there a current fleet challenge going on or a review challenge? Because I feel like there was one I saw not long ago.
Yeah, there's both.
There's a review challenge that I'm hosting. It's a story time review thing where basically write a review, but write it as like a story. I did it once before, like almost a year and a half ago. So this is like, version 2, or part 2. Because there's been a lot of new members who have signed up since then.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there a fleet challenge as well?
Yeah. I'm hosting the Uncommon.
Oh, yeah, that's the Uncommon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Remind me to look into writing up an entry for that, because I think that's a really, really interesting way to do it.
Yeah. It's kind of continuation of the old school, the Common Fleet Challenge, which is, I think, the first fleet challenge I've participated in. And then ideally, the community will do like a rare and then like a promo LE SE challenge as well.
Super rare.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, all those all at once. Yeah. And then another thing for the news, I put a poll up on different sites actually, not just Miniature Trading, and talk about how satisfied are you with your collection. And at Miniature Trading, 95% satisfied has the most votes. So most people seem to be pretty satisfied with their Pirates collections overall. And I'm bringing up the Board Game Geek poll, and in that one there's 13 votes. 5 are for 75% satisfied, and 4 are for 95% satisfied. So most people seem pretty decent in terms of their collections, how happy they are with them, which is nice to see.
I only need a couple more things until I can kind of turn collecting into a... I mean, I haven't brought in a lot of new things to my collection recently. I've done a few trades this year, but right now my high priority items are finishing up my South China Seas and Mysterious Islands sets, both of which only need a couple promos. I've had a few chances to get my hands on the very last promo I need for Mysterious Islands, but it just keeps slipping through my fingers.
Yeah. Nice.
The South China Seas stuff is a lot easier to get a hold of, but because of that, it's kind of lower priority for me.
Yeah. Nice.
Are you guys trying to get anything for your collections right now?
I'm not really actively trying, but I kind of, when I get the emails from Miniature Trading on the trade reports, I look into that to see if there's matches. So I've done a few trades this year too, but I'm not really actively collecting all that much. So not really.
Mm-hmm. I'm missing a few things from I think I posted about it in the thread. But I've got like an objective to get all the Spanish pieces from Spanish Main and all the cursed pieces as possible from Davy Jones' Curse. Nice. And I think those are mostly met, more or less. I mean, my brother, his like he has a collecting goal. He wants to get all of the four-masted galleys across the board.
Nice.
So I think the ones he's missing are, I think it's the Terror of Gibraltar, the other ones that from Barbary Coast that weren't Corsair, and I think the ones from Savage Shores, the Rook's Folly and the Akua Lapua.
Yeah.
Those like the ones he wants to get because he really likes the way the four-masted galleys look.
Yeah, I like them a lot too. I think they're one of the most aesthetic ship types, without a doubt. So, and then the next news thing, the Facebook group is kind of blowing up a little bit lately. We're around 160 members on there, and it's been super active. So there's more posts and comments overall happening there than at Miniature Trading, at least the past week or so. So that's a really active kind of segment of the community. If you haven't joined up, it's Pirates of the Cursed Seas on Facebook, and I'll put a link in the description on the different posts of the podcast. So pretty cool to see that, though. There's been a bunch of new members too on there, so that's nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of active discussion, especially surrounding eBay lots on there.
Yeah.
It seems to be a group of people that are watching what comes up for sale. Some people are asking for advice on how to sell. And for the most part, everybody's giving good advice.
Yeah, there's a lot of, sometimes there's more newbies on there than in Miniature Trading, especially lately, that I've noticed. So,
because you don't have to go out of your way to make a new account, and Miniature Trading is sometimes kind of a clunky website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I've got, looks like for news, is that Irish Bandit 89 made a thread about Gen Con Indianapolis, which I'm not going to. I'm in New York, but there might be some Pirates community members there, so that's kind of cool. In case you're out towards Indiana, apparently it's like the biggest. Yeah, no kidding. Apparently
nobody lives outside the country.
It's like the biggest gaming convention, I guess. So yeah,
cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's August 2nd through the 5th. I looked it up, so just after Ocean Train Contest number 3 ends, and then
good plug.
Yeah. And then God Mason has a new rankings thread up, as always, once a week.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I do them, I guess just the habit became putting them up on Wednesdays or around when I get impatient or I get lazy or fall behind. Stuff happens. The newest rankings thread is top 10 cursed named crew. I'm not going to go through them in here. I'm just going to say go read it and argue with me in there, because a lot of what I say is based entirely off of what I think to myself in my head and not really game experience. But go in there, have a look, and also somewhere I should really start linking the ranking thread index in my new ranking threads just to get people more involved in them. But go out and find that sometime, because that's now at, I don't know. I've probably got 4 or 5 dozen, more like 3 to 4 dozen individual ranking threads in there, all of which are probably worth reading through if you want to see some nice top 10s.
Yeah, it's a very good discussion piece for players and people who are into the rules of the game and figuring out how to optimize their fleets and crew setups and whatnot. Definitely a valuable resource to go to. So, yeah.
And then in the next 3 to 4 months, probably about 3 months, I'm going to finish up my current planned threads, which are ranking the top 10 ships by each cost, which will end with the top 10 pirate named crew and the top 10 ships at 12 points. I'll gradually creep toward those through the other point costs and the rest of the game's main factions.
Nice.
Nice.
Any other news you've got? Anybody? Or no?
Zip.
Sounds good.
Nope, not really.
Awesome. So going to the customs game piece review section, which is going to take a while. We got a ton of creators in the custom ships organized version thread, which I'll link to in the posts for this podcast, as always. And the first one is from Silvaxry, called Gloomier Tower. It's a Viking fort that costs 8 gold. It's only got 3 cannons, but they're all 2L, so 3 2L guns. And you may build this fort on an iceberg. Do so by ramming the iceberg as normal. In the case of icebreakers, don't destroy the iceberg. You may re-roll any die roll made here, but you must take the second result. if on an iceberg, other Viking ships you control take no damage when ramming or rammed by this iceberg. Opposing icebreakers cannot destroy this iceberg by ramming. So this is a really cool concept that I like. I think this could have been a fun gimmick in the Frozen North set, and I haven't used it yet. But I am the Vikings in Vassal Campaign Game 4, so if icebreakers show up in that game, I might try to get this out there. I like the thought of it moving around like a mobile fort almost.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I like this one. I get it. I think it's really expensive, though. I mean, you can re-roll any die roll made there. I can see that having a lot of utility for things like, say, your mind control fleet, Ben.
Yeah.
Or I think that probably even applies to the movement of the iceberg itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 8 gold is still probably a little too much. I want to say 6 would be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Clearly, it's something to be used in bigger games, and it's going to have a lot more potency in bigger games. But overall, I think it's really good, but still a little too expensive, no matter the game size it finds itself in.
Yeah, I agree. I just thought of something really bizarre. In some of the campaign games, sometimes we do away with the no duplicates rule for forts. So if you could somehow get like a cluster of icebergs with like all these towers on them, you could have like a mobile land fortification that moves around. That'd be crazy.
Block enemy trade routes.
Of course, you could accomplish the same thing by using the, I think, the great turtles from Savage Shores.
Yeah.
Build like a normal fort on those.
Yep. Oh, nice.
Wait. Are you allowed to control... Wait, are great turtles only usable as home islands, or can you make them wild islands?
Oh, you can make them wild islands.
Yeah,
they move, but...
They're supposed to
Are you allowed to control them if they're wild islands?
I think you can move, like, each player can move them S or something.
Yeah, you can, like, give up an action from a ship, I believe. So
I had some really awful ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought about it. Yeah, I've thought about Ramsgate to control a big area.
All right. On to Frol Delamar.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Frol Delamar is a custom by El Cazador. This is from his fictional faction of Portugal, which does not actually exist in real life. That's my attempt at being funny. I'm not. Frol Delamar is an 11.3 master. All its guns are 3S. Its base move is S+S, and its cargo space is 5. Her ability is this ship's base move becomes S when she reaches her cargo limit. Linked to Alfonso de Albuquerque, who is a 6-point crew. His ability is once at the beginning of each returns, roll 6. Okay, he's a fleet admiral, basically. I think it's it's all right. I think Frol Delamar is nothing super special at that cost. Could maybe go down to 10 points.
Yeah, I think with the negative ability, I would agree with that. I think I would just run it as kind of a basic hybrid, just Captain Helmsman, and pick up a couple coins on the way. Maybe
even then, it's still kind of a worse version of HMS Dover, even though that's not really a fair comparison because HMS Dover is a little bit OP.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 10 points works for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think so as well. Nice little hybrid ship you've got going here. I don't know what else he's got in this Portuguese faction of his, but I'd like to combo Alfonso with a reroller.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's in the beginning stages of like multiple sets or something, so it's going to be coming over the long term, I believe.
Yeah, this is like part of his Lepanto and the Mediterranean world expansion.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a whole bunch of galleys and Mediterranean intrigue.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, I'll be going over those on the podcast over time.
Mediterranean intrigue. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know. Stuff that went on in the Mediterranean. Because Ben and I know a bit about Age of Sail stuff, and that focuses, the British, the French, the Spanish. What was everyone else doing?
Yeah, it's kind of, sometimes it's kind of bypassed.
Yeah. They were off drinking paint or something. I was going to say drinking wine and painting, but then I stumbled over words.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe I've been drinking too much paint.
I've heard rumors that some artists did drink paint.
Oh boy.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Or ate it or something.
Ooh.
Or huffed it. Wait, no, that's mumble rap. Do we have another... wait, do we have anything more to say about these two?
I don't. Seems pretty basic.
Not really. They're a nice little pair. Just within what I've seen for the Portuguese faction, looks like a decent little hybrid Gold Runner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Onward is HMS Constable, which is one of mine, actually. I'm going to let somebody else read it off.
Yeah, Bill's up if he wants to go.
All right, HMS Constable. For 6 points, you get what looks like a one-masted sloop with SPSL move, 4 cargo spaces, and a nice little 2L cannon. You've got chain shot specialist built into it. Okay. A little sniping gunship kind of thing. Nice chain shot ability to keep things from running away from you. Although with specialist built in, that means you still have to shoot at something within S of you, even though you have the longer range, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're right.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe I should copy the text that would allow it to shoot at L range, because that would be the intent.
Yeah, either chain shot,
okay.
or you could do a 2S cannon. That'd be fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah,
leaving it is fine too. So
adjusting it the way I described so the ability can be used at L range. What would your thoughts on the ship be overall from there?
Still a nice little package.
yeah.
The extra range is nice, especially if you combo this up with something that can't be shot up by ships within S of it. It's like, this is the thing that shoots them to hold them in place, and then the other thing comes up alongside and just it sits there plinking away at them, laughing. It's like, ha ha ha!
Yeah, and I would be not laughing because I hate that. But yeah, I think I would actually run this empty as a gold runner just because I think it would be the best English one-master in terms of gold for the most part. They've got a couple other ones that are maybe a little bit underrated, but other than maybe a captain, I would probably either run it empty or I guess with a captain, but it's still not super useful even as a support ship. And if you run it as a hybrid like that, then you're up to 9 points, so you're adding 50% to the cost for one cannon. So I would probably run it empty, but maybe if it was a bigger game, if I could afford it, I guess I would do a captain as well, but no more than that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a nice ship, though. It's a good one.
Yeah, good little flotilla tug. You could
oh yeah, good point.
Attach the Gibraltar or the tower to the end of this thing, and just off you go.
Yeah. And in theory, if you engaged something that had only S range guns and you pulled up to the right spot, you could hit it with chain shot specialist and then just rail away at it with Gibraltar or tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although you'd rely on hitting your shot multiple times with constable, which could prove kind of difficult.
If the cannon rank is at that 2L, unless you're unfortunate, you have a good chance of hitting with it.
Yeah.
All right. What was the next ship on the list?
Looks like Flamborough, which is a lighthouse actually from Vixenish Coder 66. This one is an English lighthouse with a gold cost of 3, 1 mast, 1 cargo, just like the other lighthouses. And the lighthouse is basically, it's similar to a fort. We've gone over them in past podcasts. And then there's kind of like the light goes LL away from the base of the lighthouse, and then the light emitted follows the rules for trade currents. So friendly, same ships of the same nationality get plus S to the base move, and then a single hit is required to eliminate the lighthouse flag. And there's a few other little things, but I'll go into the extra keywords. Forward observer says each friendly ship within the light radius of the lighthouse gains +1 to their cannon rolls. The ship must be within the radius when the cannon roll is made. This ability does not affect ships that move out of the radius and then conduct a shoot action. So it's a nice little world hater within LL of the lighthouse, or in general LL of the island, which is nice. And then mortar, which is this lighthouse gains a rank 3 cannon with a range of L plus L. This cannon may only shoot once per turn. So almost kind of like a Ramsgate without the other cannons, kind of like one super long range cannon, which is nice. So I'd say this is a really good lighthouse, actually. I don't think it should...
Mhm.
I mean, it's not durable like a fort is, so I think the cost is fine. But that being said, this might be one of the best lighthouses I've looked at, because the abilities are... The extra keywords make it quite good and very like offensive compared to some of the other ones we've looked at.
I really
yeah.
like the whole lighthouse concept in general, because I think it does a lot that forts, the WizKids really never thought to do with forts. And part of me also thinks that they'd maybe even be printable on one card.
Probably.
Oh yeah, they probably would be.
I feel like it'd be like a tall flotilla, sort of. Like skinny and tall.
Yeah, a lot like that, but you could make it even simpler, probably.
Yeah.
As far as the ability goes, I think, this is a really good one. I like it's got a good proximity ability and a reasonable ability to defend itself that's not outrageous. I want to say cost can maybe come down to 2, but maybe I'm being unfair.
I don't know. I haven't used them enough to know for sure. So.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yeah.
I've wanted to, but I keep forgetting about these things, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't read too carefully the lighthouse ability in general, but could you build these things on the same island as a fort, though?
I think so, as far as I remember. I may have even asked, so I believe so.
Well, if you can, I would combo this with Ramsgate.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And that would give you, a central, I guess, area, like a point of defense kind of thing. It was like, okay, rally to this place. Or whatever, and a campaign kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, why not put it with Gloomier Tower?
Yeah. That's a good one.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. If it was on an iceberg, yeah. I think you could also combine this with Ramsgate on separate islands that are close, and then have kind of like a guillotine, or not a guillotine, like I forget what the word is, but it would be a cool effect to have. Yeah, it would be a cool
choke. Oh, I thought you said a joke.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a choke point.
Yeah, a choke point. That's right.
Yes, then you'd have, LL range from 2 different islands, so that'd be cool. Oh, run in the gauntlet. That's what I meant. The gauntlet.
Yeah, a gauntlet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or a gamut. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice lighthouse, definitely. I like it.
All right.
I look forward to using them more. So, anyway.
Anyone have anything more to add?
Nope.
All right.
Not particularly.
All right, let's roll on to the Dawn Treader, which is a 3-masted junk by J.W. Darkhurst. Dawn Treader is... Wait, is this... I think this is an English ship.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
14 points. All 3 of its masts are 4L, and this is a 3-masted junk. Its base move is L. It has 5 cargo. Its abilities are Junk, Explorer. If the ship has a captain crew, she gets plus L to her base move.
Wow. Nice.
I think the price can maybe come down a point or 2, but I want to say just throw Thomas Gunn, the Rise of the Fiends version, on here, and you've got a very fast ship at LLS. And the British could use some decent gold runners.
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, it's built to be a hybrid, so that's a great combo. Yeah, 4 cargo.
Well, sort of. Yeah. The guns are only 4L.
Yeah, 4L's not horrid for a hybrid. I mean, it's not good enough, but I don't know. I mean, you need a captain anyway, so you might as well have them available to use. So I guess you could try a Captain World Hater, but I probably wouldn't bother with a World Hater on a 3-master like this. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, this to me seems like it's meant to be, I think, Virtuous Wind, but entirely about running gold.
Maybe.
Even then, I think the point cost should come down by 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think 13 could work. I think 12 is a little cheap for the speed, but I like this. This is
You're probably right.
I like this one quite a lot, actually. It's a good ship. Nice.
Yeah, if this were printed, this would easily make all the top English Gold Runner lists.
Yeah.
Even if she
format.
stayed at over 10 point cost.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any further customs for us to go through in that thread?
No, I don't see any.
I believe so.
Cool.
So now it's on to the Fiends of the Blood Islands. What fun.
Now,
Right, and we're going through. I think we were doing Fiends of Fiends of the Blood Islands was coming.
Oh yeah, it's the Epic Seas. My bad.
Yeah, that's all right.
Span's next.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, what was the first? It was Bones of the Antichrist that we were going to start with.
Yeah, that's one of the oldest ones in this set. Actually, I think it was from February, I believe, back when I first started the set. So, yeah.
You do go quite generous on the grandiose names, but I don't have a problem with that because the curse they could use some.
It's getting. Oh, you have no idea what's coming. It's getting way crazier. So, oh my god, it's just
what
insane.
Like set?
Yeah. Oh, it's almost it's well over 350 pieces now, and I've been going kind of insane with the 10 masters lately. So. If you want to see crazy stuff, there's craziness at the bottom.
So when's this going into print?
Kraken Sea version 2.0?
Yeah, but more like epic, I guess, or wacky. So, yeah.
All right. Who should start off in Bones of the Antichrist? Should that be you, Billy?
Oh, sure. I'll go with Bones of the Antichrist. What a fun thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for 19 points, you get a 4-masted ship with 5 cargo, base move of S, 3S, 2L, 2L, 3S cannons, and crew placed on this ship costs no points, but they always each take up 1 cargo space. This ship gets +1 to her boarding rolls for every crew assigned to her. Oh my, this is a boarding monster.
Do you know what I want to do with this?
What?
I just want to put 19 oarsmen on it.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Wait, no.
That's funny.
No, I can't do that because it says they take up one cargo space. It's sort of, it reminds me of, it's like it's somebody combining a 0-point delimiter and I think it's the gun or the sword UT from Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
Also weapons from Pirates of the Revolution.
Yeah, well, I think one of those was a clone of weapons from Revolution, so you're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to put 5 oarsmen on board.
Why?
Yeah, you might as well do a captain and helmsman at that point, so.
No.
Why would you put just oarsmen?
Just oarsmen.
Nah.
Nah. I'm thinking I'm trying to, this is cursed, so.
You could do.
I don't know if Ben. Yeah?
You could do all sorts of crazy name crew, because they don't cost points.
Oh, yeah.
The idea is kind of, and the flavor text kind of mentions it. It says an unholy ship of monstrous proportions made entirely out of bone. The cursed worship the ship, and the curse revere her as a mecha of sorts, but this has resulted in the ship being overcrewed and sluggish when at sea. So she's designed to be like a crewed up dreadnought that's slow because of how many people, or not people, but demons and fiends, for example, are aboard. And
well, also people.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, maybe dead people, maybe. So it's basically a.
You mean I can't be on board?
Well, you could, but you might wind up as food.
Yeah. So it's kind of
unless pledge your soul to El Phantasma or something.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of food, what was the name of that one cursed wind catcher from Return to Savage Shores?
Squawk?
Yeah, Squawk.
Yeah. Thank you for actually remembering and being able to pronounce it.
I took my best bets at the pronunciation. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're right there. Honestly. My thoughts on Bones of the Antichrist. I originally thought this is way too expensive, but honestly, between having a built-in delimiter without the negative ability and the crazy boarding roll bonuses, honestly, the price is probably right.
Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. I thought you might say it should be cheaper, but it has decent potential.
I thought about it, but quite honestly, I think you did pick the right cost because my first thoughts are, okay, Cavendish, Rise of the Fiends promo version of Griffin, and then somebody like Thomas Gunn. You're already looking at a ship that's going to have 2S, 1L, 1L, 2S guns, and Captain Helmsman, and then you still got space for 2 more very powerful crew.
Yeah.
You could...
Oh, you keep going. Sorry.
You could throw on something like White Crew if you wanted.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a boarding dominant ship. White Crew and maybe an S-boarder, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds good. And
Captain Nemo.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. That'd be crazy.
I was thinking along similar lines, but about the gold capture.
Yeah.
Because I think, Ben, you gave them a gold capture person here in Epic Seas, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, probably.
So what I would do is I would use one of the recruiters to bring in, either Bonnie Peel, Blackheart, Dragon Eyes, someone of the like.
Yeah.
And then probably a helmsman, same action twice, or EA, S-board, and just have at it from there.
Yep. The nastiest or scariest part about this one is that some of the custom crew from this same set could be used to make it even more extreme. So, for example, yesterday I actually came up with a custom crew named Maulesh. I thought it sounded like a really nasty, hostile name. And he's got... Maulesh. And,
I know, but it looks like it's like Maul-esh?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then he's got the massacre ability, but also this weird twist where it's similar to Griffin, but if this ship has a cannoneer crew, she gets +S to her base move and +1 to cannon rolls. So if you had him with a cannoneer, then she could move SSS, which would make her even more dangerous.
That's pretty quick for a 4-master.
Yeah. So,
especially one that has boarding of a base boarding roll of up to 10. Because, well, if you have a normal +1 to boarding, and this is fully occupied, you get plus... Yeah. Hold on. Come here, dog. Yeah, you get a barking, powerful boarding ship.
Yeah.
You get 4 for the masts, 5 for the crew, and then +1 for the extra bonus, which is, that's comparable to a 10-master, although I'm not sure you'd really want to take this up against the 10-master, even though that seems kind of like what it's supposed to be meant for.
Why wouldn't you? If you got a base, along what you said, a base of 10, why not?
If I may, you could almost just bake the extra +1 to boarding rolls in as well if you just felt like it. Because I know you don't think very highly of that ability, so why not, huh?
Yeah, it's already got a boarding ability, so...
Yeah.
Come on. You know you want to.
They would stack, so I would probably do it.
Yeah.
If I could find a way to do it cheaply, like for 2 points or something.
Yeah. I wonder if your dog is the Ragged Wolf from the same set here. I've got a Ragged Wolf.
Well, she could use a little bit of a grooming, if I'm honest.
Yeah, the Cursed are going crazy in this set. I think I've got
well
over 100 pieces by now, so it's getting...
Those are the Cursed, so it's going to be more...
It's just going to get more and more crazy. So. And I'm doing a gradual reveal of the recent stuff in the custom ships thread, which has been very active lately, including 10 masters once or twice a week. So yeah, it's been hard to hold back on the public reveals in the custom ships thread, but I like that because then it's more of a gradual release. So it's been a lot of fun to make stuff. And yesterday I kind of spent too much time making stuff, but there's a lot of new stuff coming that's pretty interesting. So, and we'll eventually get to a bunch of it on the podcast, but yeah, that's pretty much the bones of the Antichrist. Pretty much a slow dreadnought boarding monster. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
How many more should we do? Because it seems like we can take quite our time with each of yours.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do, say, 2 more, or would you like to do more?
2 more is fine, including, especially if we include the link crew, because I know there'd be 5 more. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Fair point. The next one, I guess I'll read it because these are yours. The next one is Fall of Lucifer, which is 27 points. And this is a 4-master. Yeah.
Oh my.
All the guns are 2L at least. It has 6 cargo, L base move. A link to Archangel Fiend and Disciples of Lucifer, which we'll read in a second. Its ability 2 hits from the same shoot action are required to eliminate one of the ship's masts. You may double the range of the ship's cannons each turn, but must roll a 6 to hit. When the ship sinks, roll a d6 for every ship with an S-ver. On 1 to 3, replace one of that ship's masts with a fire mast. A man after my own heart. But because the first ability we know is good. The second one I love as a gimmick, even though it's not very good. The third one is unique. And I like unique ships because I think WizKids was kind of unimaginative at times.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, this one's... okay, so for starters, stats-wise, and going with the basic ability, I think she's a better version of... And am I thinking of the right ship here? La Corsa?
Yeah, the French
Yeah,
Master.
of course.
Yeah, which is, I think, like 18 or 19 points.
I think it's 17.
No, I think the course is 17.
Might be 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So obviously this is 10 points up, has more cargo, better guns. The sniping ability is kind of gimmicky, but I like it. I want to say maybe this can afford to come down 2 points, but not much further than that, because it does have more range and flexibility than something like, say, a Corazzato or a Neptuno. It's kind of a combination of the two on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cargo.
And it's also got that, like, firebomb at the end.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It blows up, basically. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe accounting for that, 27 is probably an appropriate price.
Yeah, the guns and the cargo are almost as extreme as I can make them. On purpose. So.
Yeah.
I could read.
And then there's her linked crew.
Yeah.
One of the Archangel Fiend. For 9 points, you get a captain with Via. And when this ship hits an enemy ship, you may also win it 1 cargo from that ship. That's a good combination right there in and of itself. I really like that cargo elimination ability. Try to use it as often as possible when I can. And putting that onto the Fall of Lucifer, if you're able to hit with the extended sniped cannons at L plus L, like if you somehow are able to roll 4 6s, you're sniping at someone from like L plus L away. That's fun. For you, at least.
Yeah, well, not your problem if other people don't want to play against it.
Alright, and what does the other one do?
It's an uncommon, and I'll read it. It's uncommon, Disciples of Lucifer, 6 points, linked to the Fall of Lucifer, and just 2 existing abilities, so Cannoneer, and the ship's crew cannot be eliminated unless she sinks. So, pretty good abilities as well. Although it would jack up the cost if you were trying to use it as like a hybrid, or in a reasonably small game, like under 100 points. So, yeah. A lot of stuff going on with this one.
Yeah.
So with both Link crew and then a helmsman, the crew would come to 17. So that would be 44 without, an oarsman or anything else. So it'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, even though putting the Link crew on the Fall of Lucifer would definitely make it extremely more deadly, I would try to probably find a way to run this as some kind of hybrid, albeit an expensive one.
Yeah.
So I think I'd just go generic captain, helmsman, oarsman, and then have it done with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although if I wanted to, I could take advantage of the point cost and the cargo size, but I think I'd still go generic, and I'd just load it up with captain, helmsman, and then shots, equipments to shoot at the extended range with the snipe.
Yeah, that's a decent cheap option. I'd probably do, if I did a hybrid, I'd probably do Archangel Fiend, and then helmsman, and then either explorer or oarsman, just to get the extra abilities and the link. So, but yeah, a lot of options. If you went into, existing cursed crew options with Davy Jones and whatnot, it would get crazy in a hurry. You could do.
Oh yeah.
You could do Davy Jones. Curse Davy Jones and copy the Endeavor's ability, and then have that and the Corazzato on the same ship.
Oh man,
yeah, it'd be devastating. Yeah, there's a ton of great possibilities with this one, but it's gonna be 40+ points usually.
Oh yeah. this is like something that I'm gonna probably expect to see at some point, maybe during CG4.
Yeah, hopefully. There's a ton of stuff. I hope to launch in that one, but we'll see.
Probably with the Eternal keyword on it as well.
That would be ideal.
Mm-hmm. So you don't get sent to purgatory, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, nice. Oh, it's not even a set review. You're in prime form tonight.
Speaking of which, I strolled through there anyways. Doesn't matter. I'll come back.
All right. Why don't you read off purgatory for us?
All right. For 22 points, you get 4 masts with 5 cargo with a base move of L. Cannons a mix of 2L, 3L, 3L, and 2L. We have a link to someone called the Archdiocese of the Apocalypse. Sounds important. All right. Abilities. Unholy Light. This ship has the fear keyword, except that it affects ships with an L rather than S. Interesting. Trying to make fear slightly more relevant. 22. I don't know. I'm not sure if, even boosting the range of fear from S to L would make it that expensive. And Unholy Light, I'm not sure how effective or expensive that should be.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what Unholy Light does. Isn't that the keyword from Spectre?
Yeah, and Delusion. Yeah.
And Delusion, yeah.
It's something along the lines of being able to look at all treasures on an island or a ship with an L view.
Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of like a zone ship, and the flavor text kind of alludes to that. So she dominates any area she sails in. So you've got Unholy Light effects with an L, Fear with an L, and all the cannons are 2L. So it's kind of like a zone area ship that kind of devastates wherever she sails. So, and the Spectre is way worse for 21 points. So I didn't want to go, cheaper than that, even though the Spectre isn't that good. So it's not an amazing ship, but it still has decent potential.
Yeah, the Spectre is always a little bit overpriced too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I've been playing with ideas for how to use Spectre and stuff, but I guess I'll talk about that later. I think this one is still significantly better than Spectre in that A, it can defend itself. B, you can actually put crew on it without ruining its ability to function as a gold runner. And defensively and offensively, it's actually relevant. Spectre is, being the comparable ship, you have to compare it. Spectre is just significantly worse, and not even just because she's a little cheaper. Purgatory is actually usable, and I think is probably what WizKids should have made Spectre-like.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the Spectre that I wish had been printed.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, Spectre's... I love the idea of the Spectre, but they really messed that up pretty big time. So.
Yeah, that's why I'm not completely sold on the Unholy Light. I mean, it's within range of L. That's still, a fair distance. But within a game, that doesn't really, to me, that doesn't help anything.
Yeah,
so if the range of Unholy Light was like, L plus L, that would make it so much better.
Yeah.
It would have a far more reach. You could see where things are without having to be pretty much right next to them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's just my opinion on that. So, yeah, it looks good. I'd probably use it. I just don't think I'd ever really use the Unholy Light part of it.
Yeah, fair point. Yep. And then there's a linked crew, which is a rare, and it's the Archdiocese of the Apocalypse. So this is a 7-point named crew linked to the Purgatory, and it's Loyal Cursed. Once per turn, give any ship in your fleet +1 to all of her cannon rolls, just like Roberto Santana and Lord Thomas Gunn. And if this crew is eliminated, place it on your home island instead. So kind of like an admiral.
I like that ability.
Yeah. So he's a stately general who has recently led the Purgatory to glory. So, and I've got a picture. I actually found an interesting artwork. You can see it in the note there. I'm going to bring it up for the podcast video. And it's basically this artwork I found of this faceless, menace. I don't know. It's really interesting. So that's kind of how I imagine him looking, kind of similar to that. It's pretty nasty.
It's sort of like halfway between Crimson Coast El Phantasma and one of those later cannon roll boosters, Roberto Santana, I think you said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if you add him on the Purgatory, it'd be a decent combo, and then you could still do Captain Helmsman and try to be a hybrid of some sorts, or just a gunship. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, looking at your artwork that you found for this,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's so much faceless so much as the angle of the guy's head. Because he's wearing a tricorn, but he's like got his head folded down against his chest.
Oh, I didn't even notice
so
that.
he's looking at the top of his hat.
That's a good point. Okay, nice. I thought it was just the head. I thought it was some kind of weird like thing around his neck.
Huh. I don't think it is. It's still cool looking.
Yeah. Either way, it's
There's
nice.
a little bit of hair under the brim there that I'm seeing.
Oh, darn.
But that's still pretty cool. You can still probably use have that as like, you know, what you're imagining of the this guy.
Yeah, either way, it's good. I kind of imagine him as like more dark than having hair, but either way, it works. It looks cool. So very dark.
Yeah.
And the hand is either gloved or like a skeletal black weird thing. So pretty cool.
It looks like some kind of thick leather glove.
Yeah.
On the one that's visible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's like some kind of like steampunkish, colonial era. I don't know, dude.
Yeah. The Archdiocese.
Yeah. It's like, okay, that guy's sword for this picture is confusing a little bit because it looks the appropriate length for some kind of like, you know, two-handed broadsword.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's meant to be wielded with one hand.
Yeah.
Because of the crossguard or the handguard on the front on it there. But yeah, whatever. Art is art. It's cool either way.
Yeah. It fit my kind of vision for him. So, and I've been doing that lately. It's actually fun to look up different stuff. So we'll see more of that in future episodes, and of course future. Actually, yeah. Today's named crew in the custom ships post had artwork I found yesterday as well. So that's nice.
Cool.
But, yeah.
I gotta get JW to post some of the artwork he's drawn for some of these guys for some of the sets.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because he drew a couple, profile shots of some of the characters from Fiends to Blood Islands.
Nice. Oh, speaking of which, thanks for reviewing my customs, but we're on to Phobie next.
Phobie, or Fiends of the Blood Islands.
Yep.
We're on to the English now, aren't we?
Yep.
All right.
Ben's favorites.
Yep.
Speaking of Ben should start reading these because I read all of his off.
Yeah, sounds good. So the first English ship from Fiends of the Blood Islands is RNS Legacy, which is a 22.5 master. Cannons are 2L, 2L, 2S, 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 3 cargo, L move, extended range, and the ship gets +1 cannon rolls against any non-English ship. So that's really powerful. So you've got cannons shooting at extended ranges with basically all rank 1 with World Hater. So I think the cargo does help quite a bit to limit the ship's, abusability, but the English have a lot of good name crew with like 2 or 3 abilities that could still make it a monster. So this one, I think, I don't know, extended range is kind of something that should be very used delicately, I guess. I've got it on one recent one of mine, but none of the cannons are better than rank 3, let alone 1. I think it's more expensive, so I think this one could maybe go up in price. But other than that, I'd have to kind of face off against it to see if I, wanted to confirm that it should be more expensive. So.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you because, spoiler, I've had this used against me in COEC, the most recent one, and a nice, lovely thing that the English found out to do was they put Ming's Marauders on this. So they could like hide behind the ship and then shoot at something with extended range in front of it. It's been like extremely annoying.
Wow. Yeah.
But props to him for finding a clever combination.
Yeah. Huh.
That's ace. That's also really horrible.
Yeah.
Wait. Also, never mind. I was thinking of another crew. This seems a little too good to me. So they're basically all rank 1 extended range guns. No matter what you do with the cargo or movement or the base range, they're all a little bit crazy, I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to keep extended range, I think extended range in general doesn't really belong on ships, with some rare exceptions. You should probably make some of the cannon ranks 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that. Or maybe just lose the world hating and just leave it extended range.
Yeah. Even then, I think the extended range keyword is enough of a gimmick to use the ship anyway that you could take away the world hater and give it all rank 3 guns and cut the cost a little bit, and it would still be very worth using.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Yeah. Well, it was fit in line with the design process for most of the fibers for Fiends of the Blood Owens. They were designed to be nuts and bonkers. And I think the Legacy is actually one. I think
use the ship anyway.
Before that I made this final version, me and JW had like a couple other versions that had like, you know, something else in addition to this. That made it really nuts.
Wow.
But I forget what now. Either that or this was like, you know, he had something tame and then I decided to do this and he was like, are you sure that's a good idea? But yeah, what could go wrong? So, revisions possibly coming.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, I've already made a model for it based on the cannon ranks.
Oh, I see.
Well,
you
so
could, yeah.
I'm reluctant to change those.
No, I see. In that case, you could just jack up the cost to 24 or 25, for example.
Or I could change the extended range, go to the regular sniping as seen on El Neptuno and others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, and then the World Hater would make that work pretty cool, pretty well.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think if I changed it to just the regular El Neptuno sniping, I think I could probably keep it at 22, maybe go to 21.
I agree.
Because it's got very accurate cannons at the ranges where they are. So if you wanted to go that extra range, you'd have to sacrifice some of that accuracy, but not too much of it.
Yeah.
Because it's got the world hating.
Yeah.
So if I do any revision to it, that's probably what I'll do then.
All right. I think we can move on to Quidar Merchant now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. I don't know how to pronounce that. I've just tried. I'm not going to put myself at risk for embarrassment again. I'm just going to say that this is a 16.4 master. The guns are 4L, 3S, 3S, 4L, 4 cargo, L move. Armed merchant, which, as we've gone over before, although I will read off the keyword again because I don't remember. Once per turn as a free action, one of the ship's cannons may shoot at one enemy target within range. That shot may not have its range or rank increased.
Yeah, I misspelled the rank.
Yeah, range or ranked increased. And one of the ship's treasures are worth +2 gold. So, take away the armed merchant thing, and it's sort of just a not so great version of Isabella or similar ships. That I think Spain has a couple like this. I mean, if you compare it directly to them with armed merchant, it's probably about as good as they are, but not as good a gold runner. Yeah, this seems like it's not quite as good at being a gold runner, but it also isn't quite good enough to be a hybrid. I'm also not a super big fan of armed merchant in general, not for any good reason. Maybe it's literally just down to the fact that is the keyword, and maybe it could be something else, but I don't know. This just doesn't seem like all that competitive a gold runner, especially for 16 points.
Yeah, I agree, but since +2 gold is so good, I wouldn't want to see it too much cheaper. So one is easily abusable ability. I do like the name of the ship. I would probably... I don't know that I would use this compared to some of the other English War Masters, which is alright. I don't think every custom needs to be wicked good or anything, or perfectly costed. Some of mine are kind of costed on purpose, just kind of like anticipating abuse in campaign games, basically, especially the 10 Masters. So they might be able to come down, but I'd rather start them high and then come down than the opposite. But if I had to use this, I'd probably do Captain and Helmsman combo crew like Thomas Gunner, Hermione Gold, and then maybe Norseman for protection, and just try to run it as a hybrid. But that said, it's not going to be a great ship either way. But that's alright.
Yeah. The armed merchants, the ships that have those keywords, they're kind of designed to be hybrids, but I also didn't want them to be like super duper really good hybrids. Yeah. So some of them, aren't stand out, like you said.
Yeah.
And the genesis behind the armed merchant idea was just, okay, a ship, if it gets once per turn, if there's a ship within range, it can fire like a musketeer cannon at it. I've kind of like tried to implement my idea of return fire, if you will. I don't know. It's a bit clunky, I will admit.
I'm probably just like only bothered about the keyword's name itself, like
okay,
maybe defensive gun or something like that.
Return fire.
No, that's too.
Well, literally, return fire might actually work a little bit better.
I think it should stay as like a gameplay mechanic for house rules. I don't know.
Okay.
And if it's
so
return fire, why can't you return fire with more cannons? I don't know if they're in range anyway. So I don't know. I think it's okay, but.
Well, I was trying not to make like Battleship version 2 when I made this.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly a fan of that one.
Me either. Yeah, too much extended range in your custom sets sometimes. It seems like I go crazy with it.
Yeah, I do like extended range, but sort of almost more in theory than in practice.
Yeah, I like it a lot, but it needs to be, costed highly, I guess.
Yeah, it does
delicately.
Yeah. All right.
And it's usually a little bit kind of overdone, a bit OP at times.
Yeah. We could go to the next one, I guess.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, the next one is the Assassin, which is a 4-master, English, of course, 16 points. The cannons are 3S, 4L, 4L, 3S, kind of like the opposite of the previous ship. 3 cargo, L move. Ability is Clipper Ship, which is a keyword from this set. This ship's movement is measured from bow to stern, which we saw a couple episodes ago. And this ship gets +1 to cannon rolls against French game pieces. So, a decent ship. It's quite fast with Clipper Ship, so Captain and Helmsman, you'd be moving at a good clip. But that being said, I think the speed is kind of not useless, but if you're going to do a Captain and Helmsman, you're not going to have much cargo. The bonus isn't that great. It's kind of pricey for the cannons. I don't know. This one doesn't strike me as something I would use either. I'd probably rather use the Merchant, actually, just barely.
We had a lot of complaints about Clipper Ship the last time we saw it. I'm glad to see that this one's actually been rectified. I think the guns are way too weak for it seems to me like this is supposed to be another one of those super fast interceptors. But the point is kind of lost if you have guns this bad, because they seem to be more about just being slightly under par and giving a really quick ship that can maybe do some damage. I'd say if they're all 3S, then you're probably fine. But 4Ls are something that, at least on my custom pieces, I use as just kind of something to have at least a more interesting gun than a 3S that maybe isn't quite as good.
Yeah.
All 3Ss might make this actually all right.
Yeah, and the Assassin name makes me think it's going to be like a killer ship, but then cannons are a little bit lackluster for that role, I guess. Yeah. But anyway.
This one was actually nerfed a little bit in comparison to the other Clipper ships. And there was a little bit of a historicity behind that. The best Clipper ships were made here in the USA, in Boston, so on and so forth, for going from the East Coast all the way down to like Florida and all the way down around the South America up to the West Coast. And since they were made exclusively here in America, more or less, they weren't really used anywhere else. So which is why even though the English have one, it's not as good as the others. Like the 2 the Americans got, and I think the 1 that the French have.
That makes some sense. All right. I'll read off the next one. Aurora Dawn, I think, if we have nothing else to say about that last one.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Aurora Dawn, 15.4 master. Guns are 3L, 2S, 2S, 3L. 4 cargo, SS move, broadsides attack. This is basically an SE boxed ship, isn't it? Which is my way of saying
treat it like way. I suppose you can treat it that way, even though I do have, like, a designated ship for the top of the box in the special edition section.
Well, I don't really mean that in a very good way, because Broadside's attack is, by virtue of how it works, it's at its most useful on ships that A, have all S-range guns, B, have all rank 2 guns, or almost all, and C, are on the smaller side. This has, it's half 3L guns, so that's 2 points against it, and then it's 4 masts, which means the gain from a successful broadside's attack is not actually that big. This is probably in line with what WizKids would have costed it.
Yeah.
But WizKids also didn't really know what they were doing a lot of the time. So, I don't know. You could probably make the end guns 2S and knock this down to 14, and people would still probably find reasons to use it. That's not, I don't think that's changing too much to make it unfair. If you think that's a little extreme, you can probably reduce the cargo to 3 as well.
Yeah.
Well, making all the cannons 2S and putting it to 3 cargo, it's just really a faster version of the Bretwalda.
That's what I was about to say. Yep.
And, well, I mean, the Bretwalda's not a bad ship.
Yeah, but she's not really great either, though.
Well, then,
Okay.
then this is a faster and not as well-armed version of the Bretwalda at present.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
fine, considering the Bretwalda is decent as like a short-range brawler. This one has better speed and then longer reach with the 3L cannons, so I'd be less inclined to use broadsides with it, but I think with the speed, I think that, and the L range at the end, I think that kind of justifies the 1 point more. So it's not a
If
ship
you're
I would
not-
love to use as the English, but I think it's fine cost-wise as is.
If you're not going to use broadside's attack, I know of a ship that's basically this but better, which is HMS London. I mean, HMS London is sort of an unfair thing to compare it to in a sense, because HMS London is crazy undercosted. HMS London is probably a 14-point ship on its own.
Yeah.
But if you want to compare them and say don't use broadside's attack, then don't even bother with Aurora Dawn.
Yeah.
Well, don't use broadsides, or don't come into it trying or hoping to rely on the broadsides. Pick your moments.
My thing is, if I'm going to invest the points in broadsides, which is a very expensive ability, I think WizKids valued it at between 4 and 7 points.
Yeah.
Typically, I haven't tried to evaluate it that when I'm making customs.
I agree with that. I think you're right, and this doesn't reflect WizKids pricing. It doesn't quite do that. But if I'm going to use broadside's attack at all, it's going to be the sort of main focus of the ship.
Yeah, that's a
because
fair point.
it's expensive enough that you can't really not care about having it, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a
sort
solid
of,
gunship option. I still do like the speed and those 3L cannons at the ends. And then once if you got into a situation where you lost mast, you could take out the 3Ls first and use broadside's attack with the remaining 2 S's.
I
was going to say that next.
Yeah, I think it's alright at 15.
There's actually a lot of utility in that, and that's a good thing to point out, Ben, because as soon as you take damage, okay, you've lost 2 masts, but then you've just got 2 S guns, and now you can capitalize on broadside's attack in a valuable way that I brought up earlier, in that it's better when you have fewer guns, because it's a flat +1 on a successful roll, turning 2 guns into 3 hits. Now that you said that, I think maybe this can be I'd say it's probably possible as a 14-point ship without adjusting anything else.
Okay. I see it as a numbers gunship that you would use as part of a larger squadron of gunships in a giant game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, At the same time, I'm one of those people that's like, oh, every ship can be special and can have the fleet built around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at 14 points, you could still use this as the prime gunship in an English fleet at 40 to 50 points. Yeah. Captain, maybe not a helmsman because you've got S+S, and like someone like Christopher Mings for same action twice.
Yeah, I think that gets into differences in our play styles too, because Derek's and I are used to the big games where numbers gunships are good, but then in a 40-point game, HMS London is always going to beat out the Aurora Dawn, which is fine.
Yeah, or the HMS Oxford.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, well, the Oxford is sort of just an extension. The Oxford is just a premium version of the London for the most part.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
I'm next.
Ironwood.
Yeah. HMS Ironwood is a 15.3 master. Cannons are 2L, 3S, 2L, 3 cargo, L move, linked to Commander James Atlas, who we'll see in a second. And it's got the ironclad keyword, which says you must roll a 5 or 6 to hit this ship. So nice defensive ability. And the ship ignores first hit. She takes each turn so long as she has all of her masts. And Commander James Atlas is a captain and reroll crew. So I'd assume he's probably 6 points. And he's got a link. So I would say, given the defensive abilities, I think it should be 17, 18. But other than that, I just don't like seeing these in the game, as I've already gone over. So that's about it for me.
I do like ironclads. I'm going to be the contrarian here. I'm also going to be really obnoxious here, Ben. I don't mean this personally. But the ability does not say the ship ignores the first hit she takes. It says the ship ignores the first hit she takes each turn.
I was typing too fast when I wrote it. Darn it.
Yeah, well, yeah, we all get what you're saying. And I thought the same thing when I saw Atlas. This is a 6-point captain reroller, which we've seen as part of other factions. I also think that this is a little too good for its cost. But my adjustment would be change the guns to 3 L's on the end instead of 2 L's, because then you're nerfing the firepower a little bit. The defenses are really heavily stacked, so I think where the attention needs to be devoted is to its offense, so it doesn't become too crazy. I'd say 3 L's on the ends. You can maybe even make the center gun a 4S or something, because this is, despite the small hold, the high point cost and the high defensive capabilities, mean you're going to crew this thing to the gills. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody did the Thomas gun and Griffin combo, or the Hermione Gold and Trevor Van Tyne sort of thing. And from there, maybe even include a shipwright. Not many ships can make good use of a shipwright, but in this case, let's see, your version of the ironclad keyword, which did influence my own, does not prohibit, I see you're busy commenting on things while I'm ranting, but my version of the ironclad keyword prevents you repair actions from being given other places than the home island. And I'm not going to tell you to implement that, but I would say I would play with this and reduce the offensive capabilities, increase each gun rank by 1, and then it's probably okay. And still a very usable gunship that's begging to be made its best.
Okay, I'll think about that. See, this is another one where I have a model for this one built with its current stats of 2L, 3S, like 2L.
On the,
Well, I have a physical model built. I can still change the point cost and shoot that up by another 5 points. So make it 20 as opposed to 15. But, when it comes to ships that I have models made for already, I get, yeah, I can, but then I have to go remake the model.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm kind of curious to see that model. Can you put that, can you put a picture of that model somewhere that can be seen? Is it like an interesting custom, or is it sort of just modified from existing WizKids parts?
It's just modified from existing WizKids parts. What it is I took the hulls, hull sides for a 3-masted schooner and put them onto the hull of a 3-masted ship that's got a flat deck. So you've got a 3-master that sits lower in the water because armor, and it's just 3 masts. I'll try to find this. Actually, this got used by the English recently in a COEC. So what I might do is I'll try and find one that isn't being actively used in the game, stamp a picture, and either put it into the podcast thread or on like the random picks thread, one of the two places.
Okay, you said that was schooner hull pieces on a square rig 3-master?
Yeah, for a 3-mast schooner, those hulls on a 3-mast square rigger. They fit really well.
They fit? That surprises me.
Yeah.
They're roughly the decks are roughly the same, length. I'm trying to figure out how to best say it. So
I think I know what you mean. I'm going to have to play with the inverse of that, too.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely thinking about the inverse of that, like, a taller-looking schooner.
With more cargo space or something.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to use that kind of build for, I think, if I ever get around to it, bringing some of the pieces off the paper for Spherus Magna.
Why didn't WizKids think of this? They could have so easily just made, they could have cheaply repurposed other punches to make a greater variety of ships.
Yeah, and I don't think I was even the first person who thought of that. I think Cannon Fury was the first person who did this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out with my extra parts bin. Anyway, the next ship I think is HMS Covenant Star.
Ooh, Ben's not gonna like this one.
Oh boy.
I just know he's not.
15 points, 3 masts, 4S, 4L, 4S, 5 cargo, L move. So not off to a good start, even for a Gold Runner. Schooner, Explorer. When the ship is given an Explorer action, you can swap a treasure on the wild island with a crew on any ship.
Any friendly ship.
Yeah, I figured it said that. It cut off at the far end. Yeah, this is one of those pretty infamous abilities. Pretty crazy cargo space, too. I don't have enough experience with this ability to say whether this is fair or not.
Well, the ability is not really fair at any cost, so it should just not really show up in general. So it's just it's just it's nothing against Eric's. He didn't come up with it. It's WizKid's fault. But there's certain abilities that
like S immunity.
Exactly. There's certain abilities that shouldn't exist. Period. Like you don't cost it right. There's no good way to do it. There's no right ship to put it on. It just shouldn't happen. So it's just one of those. So, and then having it built into the ship, you don't even need to add a crew. So just add a helmsman, and then I don't know. It's just super unrealistic.
Some kind of sack.
Yeah.
Like Mercer. I think he's okay. Yeah. I think the English have like one sack crew, and it's Mercer.
Yeah. Yep. And then so then you start teleporting, which is really unrealistic and kind of bizarre, quite frankly. So I don't know how that works, but some kind of flying or something. I don't know.
Yeah. This is actually no. I don't have anything to say. I'm just mumbling.
Yeah. I think maybe if you wanted to change, if you were willing to change the ability, you could make it island treasure trading for 11 points or something. That could work.
Yeah, like as seen on the Neptune's Horde.
Yeah, or even 10 in that case. And you'd have a decent English Gold Runner of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Star is pretty good. Even if you didn't use that second part of your ability, you've got lots of cargo and Explorer built in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, changes. See, I don't know if I have a model for this one either. But ability, I might lean for making it the what you suggested for like the Neptune's Horde.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I should read the next one. HMS Renaissance is an 11.2 master. It's got cannons of 2L, 3L, 3 cargo, L move, and then Captain built in, which is unique. Only the USS Stevens has that of the released game pieces. So I think this could. I think it could come down a little bit you're saving a cargo space by having the ability built in. But if I think of this as an 8-point support gunship, I think it could be a 6-point support gunship, and therefore maybe 9 points or even 8 minimum with the captain ability built in. Then I'd add a helmsman, and then I guess I'd try to use it as a small hybrid, or ideally less than 13 points. But yeah, a little cheaper, I think.
I think you're right about a lot of that. I'd say probably 9 points as is. If you make both the guns 3L, it can be 8 points. And then still quite worth using. Like, maybe even cut the cargo space too, but I would say 2 3L guns at 8 points with same cargo, move, ability. I'd use that.
Yeah, it's decent.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Not a lot to say about it, Billy?
No, not really. Yeah, I just figured it was just like a nice little two-masted gunship kind of thing. Nothing too wacky. Something that has been seen before a couple times, but not
much.
Yeah, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
And Renaissance, something new.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think it's even mentioned in the flavor text. Yeah, I think it's in the flavor text way at the back there. Using a newly discovered battle technique, the HMS Renaissance can fire her cannons at a moment's notice and with little effort from her crew.
Could give it armed merchant in that case.
Yeah. Or depending on what you want to call it, return fire.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go into HMS Patsy, which is... I don't like this. This is 10 points. It's a 1-masted sloop, 5L gun, 2 cargo, L move. Friendly ships with an S with this ship get +1 of their cannon rolls. I think basically every ship with this ability ever released is way too expensive. This one can't defend itself in any feasible way, and it has an overpriced ability. Give it an extra mast, and I might just kind of forget about it as something that I still don't like. But as is,
Okay, what if I cut the point cost in 2?
Huh?
What if this was 5 points instead of 10?
At 5 points, Ben would probably tell you, this is ridiculous. Price up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so less than 10, greater than 5. So 7.
Yeah. 7 I can swallow. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I would prefer 8 or more, but it's just one of those abilities where it's complete trash at 40 points, but it can be extremely good at 1,000. So it's just one of those kind of like flawed abilities where it doesn't scale at all with the game size, which is fine because this wasn't thinking about CG3 when they released stuff. But I personally think it would be a little more interesting with a 3L cannon still at 10 points. Then you could do a captain helmsman, and in a big game that would be kind of cool. So I think if the cannon got a little better, it would be a little more interesting. But as is, it's still kind of cheap for a cheerleader. So I would use this in my big English fleets in the campaign games, but it's never really an ability that's going to be used at games less than 80 or 100 points, and even there, it's usually a waste. So it's just kind of a flawed ability, but yeah, it depends on what games you like to play.
Speaking of abilities that shouldn't exist. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can do the next one, I guess. Last one, I guess. Lieutenant Thomas Walker is 7-point English named crew. The ship's mast can't be rammed off. The ship's mast can't be eliminated by ramming. Once per turn, when this ship touches an enemy ship, you may take as much treasure from that ship as you can carry. Ooh, interesting. So that's like Peter Miles. I like this. It's pretty expensive, but I could see. I'm trying to think what to use it on. Maybe HMS Dover or the Titan with like Hermione Gold or Thomas Gunn. There's not a ton of great English ships to try this with. Maybe the Lady Provost with the schooner keyword and 6 cargo. I would be tempted to use it on like a 10-master with treasure ship or something like that, but you could you could win a boarding party at that rate. So I don't know. I think it's a cool crew that I would try to use, but it's kind of unwieldy considering the faction, which is fine. So I like it though. It's interesting.
As much as I sort of like I'm more excited about the first ability because I think that's an ability that should have been on crew, but for some reason wasn't. The second one is one that I like on paper, but in practice, I think it's actually kind of pointless. Because here's the thing. In order to make use of that, you've got to have a ship with a lot of cargo. And also a lot of speed. Because if you're going to be catching something, anything that has enough cargo for this to be worth using, basically means anything that's carrying 3 gold coins or more, you're going to have to move faster than them and have at least as much open hold space as they do. And if you can move faster than them, why don't you beat them to the island in the first place and take the middleman out of the equation and just make a better gold runner? Because there are very few hybrids out there that can really pull this ability off, especially for the English.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, what are there really fast ships that can actually use this? Like, it's got to be a really fast gunship, doesn't need to be big, but it also needs to have a lot of cargo space.
Yeah, Lady Provost.
HMS Durham, maybe, from Barbary Coast.
Yeah, 5 cargo. Yeah.
Durham's pretty good, but is Durham quite fast enough?
Espastel base move, I think. That's pretty quick.
Yeah, for
it
a War
is.
Master. Yeah.
I mean, you'd use Thomas Gunn, and then let's just say the printed crew, Peter Miles. Even then, I think you're still not going to catch any of the really fast stuff, and you're going to be kind of limited to chasing down the cheaper gold runners. So I think the crew is great. It's just ships on which you can use them are few and far between, no matter what faction you go to.
Yeah, I like the Lady Provost, because then it's a small ship, so then it's more susceptible to ramming, so it makes the first ability better as well. So that's a ship I might try to use him on. But yeah, for the English, it's tough.
Yeah, since the Provost is a schooner, you can do that tricky finagling stuff and touch a ship without ramming it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good option. Yeah. And then, I think the Spanish and the Pirates could use Peter Miles' ability. The English don't have a lot of high cargo ships. I guess you could put it on the Shui Jian, but that would be kind of overkill, I guess.
Yeah. So this is Thomas's one of the 2 Walker brothers.
Okay.
We won't see the other one until the convention packs.
Okay. Nice.
All right.
Bit of a sad story with them.
In that they'll never be printed?
Oh, no.
Well,
the convention packs are here part of the set, but flavor-wise, they have a sad story.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can see the flavor text for Thomas Walker.
Oh, I can. Yeah, let me scroll over with the video.
That's some of it. I think it's there, or most of it.
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's also one of the reasons why he has that second ability.
I see that.
Flavor-wise.
Yeah, I love the flavor connections. I have that a bunch of my crew. I don't always want to read the flavor because it would take up a lot of time on the podcast. But I do like coming up with flavor text for my fantasy customs. It's more fun than I anticipated it would be. So, yeah. Cool. So, yeah, that wraps up the customs segment. So we're almost done. Another random thing we're doing with the off-numbered episodes is recent game recaps. I actually don't really have much of anything this time. The Caribbean game continued briefly not too long ago, but other than that, I don't really have anything to report on specifically, personally.
Yeah, I still haven't quite picked up any games again because I've had actually, my last 2 months have been pretty chaotic. I don't have a lot going on in the next couple of months, but we'll see if I end up with time to pick up playing again.
Nice.
Yeah, and I am obviously doing Essential Economy. I'm trying to do reports for that as regularly as possible. Things have deteriorated a little bit for some of the factions involved there.
Yeah.
You heard me talk about, how the English are finally spending some of their gold and launching gunships. You know, they've got the Legacy and the Ironwood as they are here in the water. And they also have Atlas actually on a ship somewhere.
Nice.
I think they put him on the Titan because they were using one of the other
Titan.
Yeah, Commander James Atlas.
Yeah,
because I think they were using one of the another version of Thomas Gunn somewhere else.
I was gonna say that's thematic. Woohoo! Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the question of the day, anybody can ask their own as well. Mine is, considering that the Gen Con Indianapolis is coming up August 2nd through the 5th in Indiana. My question is, have you been to a gaming convention where Pirates was active or featured? And if so, which one? Could be United States or globally, anywhere. And then any fun stories, like did you find hacks there, meet other players? Was it maybe during the game's production run? Did you meet anybody from WizKids? Stuff like that. So just an interesting question, given that Gen Con is coming up soon. Any questions today or no?
I got a response for your question.
Nice.
I haven't been to a convention ever.
Yeah, me either.
One of these days, I'm gonna get around to going to Comic-Con or maybe AX or something, and see what's what down there.
Nice.
So I haven't, but maybe when I do, I'll find something, or I'll bring Pirates with me. One of the two.
Yeah.
My question is not as much a question, more of a request, is that if anybody out there has any ideas on how to print out and punch custom cards that we make and would like to put together, go to Miniature Trading. Everybody's interested in having small batches of customs made, but it's been pretty hard to find a way. And obviously, if you're listening to this, you're probably kind of interested in it. If anybody's made any progress on printing custom pieces, let us know over in the Miniature Trading Forum. You'll probably get people interested in paying to have some printed.
Yeah. I was actually talking about this with my family the other day because, they know that me and my brothers are involved in all this stuff. And they know that we've got, we make our own custom stuff. So it's like, hey, can't you, make your own, have, your custom things? Well, yes, no. I believe there was someone on the Facebook group, a while ago.
Yeah.
But it's some kind of laser printer or some kind of inkjet printer or something.
Yeah.
And they had a sticker sheet of the artwork, but I don't think they had a way to punch it out of a card.
Yeah, that's the tough part. I know somebody at the subreddit, I don't know if it's the same person, but at least one person at the subreddit has talked about similar stuff within the past year and a half or so, multiple times. But yeah, other than digitally creating artwork and then printing out stickers, going beyond that is where it gets difficult and expensive. So I haven't really tried it yet.
Yeah. I mean, I've made experiments about, making a ship with really thin crafting wood and cardboard.
Yep.
But those have been structurally unsound.
Yeah.
So, okay, I can put it together kind of, but the masts won't stay in and the hull is held together with spit and a prayer.
Yeah, this is something where I'd say if somebody can figure out how to make and print punchable, assemblable custom ships, they can probably make a small amount of money off of printing out things for other people, provided they can give compatible artwork and everything. And from there, who knows? You could maybe even sell it on eBay, not officially through the forum, because WizKids would get about it. But
you might just get WizKids coming down on you if you did it through eBay, even.
Well,
because I don't know how,
not if you sold it as, just a
blank slate. Okay, here's a white punch-out ship or something. Get your own artwork.
Not as much that. I'm thinking you could literally just sell it as a custom something that you made for it. It's people are allowed to sell their own little custom islands. And WizKids isn't suing for that.
Yeah.
And I'm offering up a custom ship for prizes for the terrain contest and I think the review contest.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think there are ways to... and I doubt anybody in WizKids is even scrolling through eBay to see, is anybody selling off cool custom stuff so we can sue them? I think it can be done as long as the operation doesn't get too big.
Yeah,
It's like, a thing you do out of your basement or a garage or something.
Yep.
Nice. All right.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, cool. It's a good episode. Episode number 27 of the Pirates CSG podcast. You can find it on Shout Engine, archive.org, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, all over the place. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back eventually with part 2 of the Fire and Steel set review.